Avowed is a disappointing game. It doesn't try anything new. In fact, I believe it's one of the safest games Obsidian has ever made, which I don't believe is good. Since the release of early access for Avowed, I've played over 30 hours of Obsidian's new RPG. It's safe to say that I did in fact enjoy this game, but I don't feel like it was enough to warrant first a $70 price tag and second a $30 early access fee on top of my Game Pass subscription. I have been anticipating Avowed since its original announcement all the way back in 2020 when it was shown with a darker tone compared to what Obsidian has delivered here. This game was even one of the reasons I went out and bought an Xbox Series console at the time. What Obsidian has delivered here is a game that I have come to expect from the studio. A good mainline narrative with interesting quests and characters to talk to, but this experience is hindered by a lack of innovation whatsoever. If you have played any first-person RPG before, you've played Avowed. The only difference with Avowed and basically any other fantasy RPG is that this one is based in the Pillars of Eternity universe. What Obsidian has delivered here is an RPG that has been outclassed by many games before it in terms of interactions with the world and even player choice when it comes to the gameplay. Unlike every other first-person RPG Obsidian has created, this is the first one where you cannot kill whoever you choose, whether that's an NPC or a companion. I found this out right as I started playing and was thoroughly disappointed with that design decision from Obsidian, and it's one of the biggest negatives about this game in my opinion. Avowed's exploration is divided into 4 different regions of the game. Think of it as 4 different open worlds that you unlock as the story progresses, each with their own enemy variety, quest lines, bounties, and rewards. Each region looks and feels different, and they all have their own ways to explore. One of Avowed's highlights is the exploration, especially with the added verticality Obsidian has added to the majority of the areas you do explore. Each region has resources that you can use to upgrade your gear to higher ranks to make fighting tougher enemies much easier, with the superb and legendary upgrades locked off to the end of the game. I chose to play Avowed on the Path of the Damned difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty in the game. What I came to realize immediately is that no matter what you do, you need to upgrade your weapons and armor to have any sort of chance to take down your enemies. By the end of the game, I found combat to be really easy, even on the hardest difficulty, because of all my upgraded armor and gear. And for me at least, the final boss was ridiculously easy. If you have ever played an RPG in your life, you really do not need a breakdown of the skill tree in Avowed. It's pretty simple. You have access to certain skills at the start, and as you level up your character, you gain access to more, and at any time, which is nice, you are able to respec your build. Not specific perks, which was a little bit annoying though. Avowed's story is comprised of you, the envoy, stopping a deadly disease known to the living lands in Adir, your home, as the Dream Scourge. The Emperor sends you, his most trusted, to the living lands to investigate and eradicate this plague. Avowed's writing is the classic Obsidian formula, nothing to really say about it other than it's just solid. For Avowed, I did play as someone who would be dead loyal to the Emperor and Adir, and I was actually pretty happy with the choices I was able to make in this game. There were many moments in the game where I was just able to kill someone instead of wasting time talking with them, trying to reason with them, or completing some fetch quest in order to make them happy. The choices in Avowed are awesome, but the consequences of those choices, I would say, just don't really matter. For me at least, I was an asshole to a lot of people, but other than some small disagreements with my companions, no one would really ever hate me because we all have a common enemy, the Dream Scourge, and we have to deal with that. But this definitely is not like Dragon Age the Veilguard, where you have to be a goody two-shoes to everyone you meet. Because you definitely can piss people off and even lock yourself out of entire conversations as I did, but nothing to make merely people hate you, and I do know that your companions can leave depending on your story choices, but you can't tell them to screw off because they're annoying you. Your party makes up of yourself and 4 others who you meet while progressing through the main story. Kai, first voiced by the very same VA who voiced Garrus from Mass Effect, Marius, Giatta, and Yazli. Each character has their own motivations for helping you on your journey, and they also have their own sets of ideals, and once again they can agree and disagree with you on your choices, but for the most part they have some interesting writing and stories to listen to as well, with my favorite being Kai because, come on, we love the voice.
Hey, it's not like you could possibly make the mess we're in worse, right?
When you finish Avowed, you get end screens and flashcards like in Fallout New Vegas and the Outer Worlds, but personally I kinda wished for more than just, hey, here are your outcomes, because I don't feel like that's really an ending. In my opinion, at least, I would really enjoy if Obsidian could follow Bethesda with how they handled Fallout 4's story ending and continue the game, just adding new reactions from NPCs and companions. But what really surprised me about Avowed, and one of my favorite, if not my favorite parts about this game, was the combat and how the combat felt. I came into this game expecting very little from the combat department, and at least in my opinion, they blew it out of the park. The combat felt heavy and was fun to use no matter what weapon, whether if it was two-handed hammers, or two swords, two pistols, one pistol and a sword, does not matter. It all felt awesome to play, and combining that with the powers that you were able to unlock that made my character an absolute beast by endgame made much of the combat engaging and fun for the majority of the time. Other than some massive difficulty spikes that would occur when entering new areas, the combat is actually fairly balanced until you actually get to the endgame, and if you did your build right, you should become just a harbinger of death. When I said that Avowed lacked any innovation, I really did mean it. This game does not offer anything new that we haven't seen before. Other than the combat, the majority of the game I have seen in other games. A comparison to Avowed's story that I've seen people make online is a combination of an RPG called Greedfall with a mixture of New Vegas and the Outer Worlds. And when I think about it, I really feel like Obsidian took a lot of inspiration from Greedfall's story because it's nearly one-to-one. It's kind of scary. But you also can't steal anything in Avowed, as everything in the game can just be taken without any reaction from NPCs, something that even the Outer Worlds offered. You can't get fined, you can't get arrested, and there's really no interaction from any sort of law enforcement that Obsidian could have put into this game. Like, one of the worst parts about the guards in Avowed is that none of them react to enemy NPC as well. So you could say walk off in a certain direction, go collect a few enemies, and bring it back to a city. Those guards are just gonna stand there. There's no interaction with them at all. And I know Avowed used to be a multiplayer project, and that was probably something put in place so guards wouldn't run off in the first place, but it's really disappointing that, look, I don't really care honestly. You've had 5 years to produce this game, you were given an extra 3 to 5 months, and yet systems like this that are extremely basic are not there. So in the end, Avowed is a game with fantastic combat, a decent story, well-written companions, and some innovative exploration. But we haven't even talked about the worst part of the game, which was the technical problems. And they pissed me off, especially with the game crashing at the worst times. I experienced at least 7 crashes, whether if it was an infinite loading screen or if the game just not wanting to run. Even after the last boss battle, the game crashed, so I had to do it again. Now, it wasn't hard to recomplete, but it perfectly showed me how broken this game can be. The PC performance for me was fine at times, but with some major frame drops when more than a few enemies would be on screen and using spells, it just was really inconsistent. Now, Avowed recommends a 3080 for its PC settings. That is its recommended GPU, so if I were you and you do not have that graphics card, I would either wait for more patches or avoid the game entirely because these issues are unacceptable considering Obsidian was given another 4 to 5 months to polish this game after the delay from 2024 to 2025. I would recommend Avowed only if you have Xbox or PC Game Pass, but I would never say this game is worth the full price of $70 that Microsoft and Xbox is asking for. Maybe in a few months when they patch out the crashes and performance issues, I can say it is. But even with the lack of anything really innovative, and Obsidian just playing it safe, I cannot say it's worth more money compared to their previous titles that did play it safe, but were also less expensive. The Outer Worlds 2 needs to be a driving force when it comes to Obsidian and how they innovate their titles, because playing it safe was fine back in 2019 when they were an independent studio when they put out the original Outer Worlds game, but not now in 2025, and while they are under a $2 trillion corporation. Thank you all for watching my Avowed review. If you did enjoy and want to see more reviews from RPGs like this one, consider leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing if you so choose to. I was really anticipating this game, man, and it's really disappointing. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy my 30 hours with this game. I might do a second playthrough at some point. I might even 100% the game when they add more content, DLC, but I expected more from Obsidian, especially under Microsoft and Xbox. Xbox's acquisition of Obsidian was supposed to bring out their shine. It was supposed to really just emphasize how good the studio was, and yet they stuck with the same safe strategy that they've been doing since the Outer Worlds, and we need something new. We need something more innovative than what they've shown us here. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.